tonight, eh?
Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Hey, everybody out there in podcast land, it's your old buddy Lionel Strang, and you're asking yourself, hey, what's happening today? What's happening today? Well, today is actually March the 25th. We're almost, for all of you on the north side, on the northern part, pretty much everybody, I think everybody except those in southern Florida have had a crappy winter this year. And so we're getting to the end of winter. We're finally just a few weeks away from steady, decent weather. I'm tired of winter this year. I don't know why. February was an odd month. It seemed like it should have been easier. We usually get a ton of snow, ton of lake effect snow. I get a ton of lake effect snow off of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. And I didn't get to Florida very much this year. And I haven't been I just got back. But there was a 2-month stretch there from the middle of January to the middle of March where I didn't get to go. So I was here for all of February. And it was a crappy month. It was just a crappy month. It seemed like it wasn't that tough, but I think it was cold or something. I don't know what it was. Anyways, we've got a podcast going here today. It's another AML All-Star Variety Hour. And we're going to start out with a fun interview with Tom Barbalet, who has Model Rail Radio. I got to give my buddy Tom some creds. He speaks up. Tom speaks up and speaks his mind. So got to give that guy creds for that. I'm going to track him down and get him on again. And he has his Model Rail Radio show, which of course is our spin-off podcast. And that's doing really well. And then we go to, I found some back in the back of the cupboard. I found some old tapes from What's on Your Workbench. So we visit Peter Borcherds, our friend Peter Borcherds in Great Britain. Not far from London. He has ducks and swans and lives across the street from a turkey farm. And he's in N scale. He's loves his N scale, and he loves the Rochelle area just outside of Chicago where we've had our picnic. It'll be our 3rd annual AML picnic this year in Rochelle, Illinois. And this year, Peter Borcherds is a special guest, and he'll be doing a meet and greet between 1:30 and 2:30. At the picnic. So he'll have some photos, and he may, I'm still talking to his people, but hopefully he may, he'll sign some 8x10 glossies. And if he's he's kind of moody because he's a star. And if he's in the right mood, he may allow photos with his fans. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then finally, we have the Kelly questions with Ed Olszewski. It looks like Olszewski to me, but it's Olszewski. And Ed lives in Syracuse, home of the Syracuse Orangemen. And he's a radar, he works for Lockheed Martin, I think he said. And he goes around inspecting or fixing radar installations mostly in Area 51. You know, the area where where they keep all the extraterrestrials that visit the globe. They stick them all there in Area 51. So that's it. Tom Barbalet, Peter Borcherds, Ed Olszewski, Kelly questions. Talk to you later. Subway chime. Go. Okay, so this is another episode on Virtual Hobby Shop. I don't know which Virtual Hobby Shop this is. I don't know what segment this is. But it's always good, and we've just had Tom Barbalet perfectly describe Mike the Spoon Ostertag as a 7-hour show waiting to happen.
Okay.
So, Mr. Barbalet, what's happening on Model Rail Radio since the 100th episode?
Oh my goodness! So we're in the high 40s now. So we're in 140. I don't know, maybe 2, 3. We finally had on, and you've had her on as well. We finally had on Kaylee Zhang.
Oh, cool!
And my view is that now we've had on Kaylee Zhang. Really, there's no one left to interview in the hobby of the kind of star elite. So we can just go back to the usual stuff. Jim Lincoln calling in periodically. You know, the usual stuff.
Yeah, start all over again. So what did you think of Kaylee saying? I mean, how much fun is she to talk to?
We didn't get enough. The thing is, we probably recorded about half an hour with her, and I know that she's one of the deeper philosophers in the hobby, very similar to what's the guy's name? I talk about mental deterioration like it's a real thing.
Okay.
He's uncontactable now because he just purchased another company. He used to have a little dog that passed away recently. He does the tracks, you know.
Tim Worth.
Yeah.
Great philosopher in the hobby, Tim Worth. I'm sure you're going to edit this right, Lionel.
No.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah, anyway, this will all be edited out.
Tim Worth is another philosopher in the hobby.
Hey, Tom, have you ever listened to the podcast?
I believe me. My lawyers have listened to the podcast, yes.
Okay. So, you know how this goes, right?
I know, believe me. Lionel makes me sound as bad, and yes, I know. So anyway, Tim Werris, similar philosopher in the hobby. You have to have Tim Werris on for at least 7 segments. Now he's running 2 companies, maybe 3 companies. Never get him on. So my hope is that Kaylee will fill the void left by Tim Werris when he stopped calling into Model Rail Radio, because there are just so many topics that we could be discussing. And I think she's one of these people that has just constantly looking at various aspects of the hobby and just finding a bunch of different stuff. Mike Deverill is another guy like that.
Oh, yeah, Mike Deverill is a highlight reel.
Yeah, Mike Deverill is just constantly pushing the boundaries. So we had him on last show as well. But I don't know, it's just it amazes me that I can just open a Skype line and be entertained for, 2-3 hours and then edit it down and put it out. And obviously there's a bunch of folk that just love listening to it. So I don't think Model Rail Radio is going anywhere. I can't predict any direction that it's going. I am going to 2 train shows on the East Coast.
I'm
going to, the Oscar National.
Right.
I've got the boxcars above me. And I'm also going to the Garden State, the New Jersey NMRA division. And Kaylee will be there as well. I think Ron Kleiss, a bunch of people are coming in for that one. But also the Oscar National is going to have Jim Gore and Terry Terrence and a bunch of just, stellar folk in the hobby that I could spend many, many days with and still learn,
do you have
a
any
small fraction of what they know.
Do you have any kind of portable recording equipment?
Yeah, but my view about this, look, I recorded a show in South Australia with Jim Gifford and all his gang, and his gang is increasing in number and veracity. I actually occasionally like to travel and not be Tom Barbalet Model Rail Radio, although I'm giving a talk at the Garden State NMRA thing.
Right.
So my perspective is, yes, I can take a recorder. Yes, I can do recordings. But actually, increasingly, I record shows, right? That's when I have the mics open. But when I get to see people and interact with them, I mean, look, we've got on Bruce Kelly. Last time I had a good conversation with Bruce Kelly, we spent, 2 hours talking, a whole convention center flooded with people, and we realized we'd been talking for a couple of hours. We touched on deep philosophy, every aspect, as he stated, I think in the last recording, cannabis came into the conversation. So many different aspects of the world. So my view is that when I'm in the same room with Jim Gore, with a recorder off, I'm going to get a lot more interesting worldview perspective than I'm ever going to have putting a microphone in his face. And he knows when he calls into Model Rail Radio, he gets that. But he and Terry Terrence, Terry is one of the wisest men I've ever spent time with. Just an amazing salt-of-the-earth gentleman.
Yep.
The notion of shoving a recorder in his face when I could be talking to him about any number of topics, I don't know. He can call into Model Rail Radio, we can talk. I might take a recorder along. I know your personal favorite, again, mine has gone completely blank, Tony Costa.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, there you go. You could have a personal conversation with Tony Custer.
Yeah, well, every time I see Tony, he says, "So what's Lionel Strang doing? Is he still in the hobby?" And that's the nature of the conversation I have with him.
Well, I know he always says that. Is he still in the hobby? I've met him at the Amherst show, and he goes, "Are you still in the hobby?"
Yeah, that's just his line, right? And he'll get a laugh, he'll get a nod, and anyway. So yeah, my perspective is, look, I might take a recorder, I might take a couple of recorders, I might do some stuff associated with Model Rail Radio, but honestly, spending time with people and talking with people and this huge social network, and you know this firsthand.
Yes.
That is a reward in and of itself. And the Model Railroading, that's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. Podcasts will continue to come out, but these people are really genuinely insightful. I mean, Kaylee is another one of these people. I'd like to have a detailed discussion associated with a wide variety of topics. I mean, I've heard a rumor that she's like some rocket scientist or something like that. Yes. I mean, there are a whole series of possibilities here.
Yes, so, she's not a rocket scientist. She works for Pratt and Whitney, and where they make jet engines. Pratt and Whitney jet engines, and I think she's got something to do with fuel management. I think that's what she said.
Interesting.
Which is still just as interesting.
Yeah, a wide variety of possibilities. The model railroading clearly highly important, but I'm interested in meeting people and talking to them about a wide variety of topics. Bruce Kelly did not disappoint.
The only way I can get people to talk to me though is if I have a microphone. Otherwise, they say, "Don't bother me, kid." Honestly, Bruce, the angry mail boy, lives not very far from me, and the only way I can get him to talk to me is with a microphone.
Alas.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'll say,
"What does society come to?"
Exactly.
What society come to?
I had a great conversation. Who all was part of this conversation the other day? Bruce Kelly was part of this conversation, and Mr. Ostertag, I'm very interested in your opinion about this, and please speak up because I am interested in everybody's opinion. Not yours, Tony. Tony, Tony, your opinion will be very valuable in this. Ever since I had this conversation with Smokin' Joe D'Amato the other day, I am been wildly fascinated by this, and I'm trying to figure out how to get him back on and have him speak about it in a fashion that could be put out to the public. But we started having Joe D'Amato is the design engineer for microtrains. And we started to have a conversation about what he called the rivet. How did he put it? What were they? The rivet fascists, the prototype, the prototype fascists.
Yes,
in the hobby. And he was talking about because we were talking about how far. Like Mr. Ostertag, you'll be interested, and Tony, you'd be interested. This is a great conversation that we're going to kill for the next 25 minutes if I ever get it out. You guys are just dying to find out what I'm talking about. That's pretty much the way it goes for a whole hour, and some with the psychiatrist. And so she goes, "What did you say?" "I have no idea." So the scaletrains.com just put out an N-scale Gevo. And Joe was saying he's like had the thing in his office for like 3 days, and he kind of can't take his eyes off it because the amount of detail on it. And he said, and we got into this conversation about how the prototype modelers have pushed the hobby so far. We started talking about like where can they go? Like how much further could they possibly go? Like what could you do? What could scale models possibly do that they haven't already done as far as fine scale modeling that's available to the public? And Tom, I want you to start first. Do you understand anything that I just said in the last 2 minutes?
Certainly. And look, Joe D'Amato is another one of these guys. Absolutely brilliant. Many, many hours worth of conversation. I think it's going to be associated with vegetation. I think that's the next step. And it's interesting, actually. I think Bernie Kopinski got into like a wide variety of tobaccos and things like that. But I think the grass is something that the rivet counters have not gotten into heavily. And actually, when I talked to Jim Lincoln, the notion of like improved litter and vegetation, these are things that rivet counters are going to have to say. Because you're right. You're absolutely right. They can get down to, microscopes, whatever. And the rivets are perfectly placed. I mean, the likes of Joe and obviously the folks over at Scale Trains, they're just producing stuff which goes above and beyond. And then, of course, you've got the laser printers, but more importantly, you've got the laser cutters, but more importantly, the 3D printing folk who are taking it to an extreme as well, with photorealism and a wide variety of etching. But I think the interesting thing might be associated with the vegetation. It might be associated with getting those aspects, because when you look at these amazingly elaborately detailed trains and beautifully weathered as well, Mr. Renzetti, shout out to you, it's going to have to be something eclectic and unusual. And certainly when Jim Lincoln first talked about cutting up little bits of trash to put on his layout, I thought, this is an untapped market here.
Is Tom? Is it going to be sort of when you look at the military guys that do the dioramas? You can imagine if model railroaders took on that kind of a realism on a layout instead of having the Kelly green sawdust and styrofoam tunnels and all that.
That's what
stuff.
I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I think the military modelers are going to be pushing these boundaries, and certainly I've been watching a lot more because I'm currently employing a variety of painters and they're military model painters. The seminars that they do, literally seminars on cloth and modeling the light hitting cloth and various techniques that they use associated with everything from felt to like old canvas and things like this. They have, modeled it down to the physics of the light, and they have painting techniques that create these amazing levels of detail. Model railroading, a few years yet. But the military modelers are just pushing the boundaries. And yeah, I think there's certainly a lot to be learned there.
Yeah, and I think another thing is the railway modelers over in UK and stuff are certainly ahead of the curve than the North American modelers. You look at the books that Gordon, is it Gravel or Gravette? The 3 books he's written on scenery modeling. They're spectacular stuff. And then you look at some of the products that are coming out of the UK for scenery. Martin Welch, I think is his name, has just a fantastic. And Scenic Express, I think, carries some of his stuff. But and if you get to Amherst, you look at the Scenic Express booth. There's just tons of stuff there now that wasn't there, even 5 years ago.
The one thing that is being missed in this little conversation is quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
The military modelers who, for the most part, they're not building 24 by 32 scale scenes. A lot of them are like really, really hyper detailed dioramas of a moment in time, or based off of photographs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas a lot, model railroaders, they're trying to gauge distance. They're trying to model distance, I should say. And so instead of having a lot of, when it comes to scenery, I think a scenery is if my trains look realistic, the scenery doesn't have to.
Well, I think...
Does that make any sense at all?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it's a valid... I don't think it's a valid comparison. For the people that are absolutely obsessive in the hobby of model railroading, that level of detail, they just find techniques that work well within, square inches, and then they map the square inches to however much they need to do. I mean, the folks that will re-glue grass, I'm not sure if you've seen this technique, but they use static grass and then they glue the additional blades to the static grass to give it more grass-like characteristics. I mean, I think there are so many aspects of this hobby where if people want to be detail obsessed, which I think is what Joe is talking about in his absence, they have the ability to take from other hobbies here and learn ways that they can make this amazingly elaborate level of detail. And true, in general, it's very difficult to translate that to layouts, but the people that are translating that to layouts are absolutely amazing and can really be learnt. So much can be learnt from them as they use these techniques. And
one of the things that I see when somebody's building a layout or showing their work is that they'll show a building or they'll show a field or something like that, and it looks nothing like the real thing. And I always tell the guys at the clubhouse when they're just starting out, or somebody asked me how I did a scene, I said, well, I went on the internet, I got pictures. And I said, that's what I'm going to model. And I made it look like the picture rather than, well, this is what I think it should look like, or this is the color I think it should be. And we're not using colors the way, we're using some colors that are not really in nature, or we're using too much of it. And we're not blending things in to really depict that far distant scene that Mike was talking about. The subtle blend of materials to make it look like you're really looking at a hill with low shrubbery and low trees versus a conifer forest on a side of a hill. And so it's a lot of technique and material and common sense, I think.
And it's not for everyone. I mean, the importance that these people place on this level of detail is really a description of themselves. It's not to knock anyone. I mean, the folks that are still using painted sawdust, more power to you, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you enjoy the hobby and if you're running trains and if you're getting something out of it on a personal level and if you're, you know, helping kids get into the hobby and do all this other stuff, look, whatever you do, you do. But there are people out there that have taken this thing to a different level and they continue to obsess and work on perfection, which is just taken to an extreme. And they also fill a role in the hobby where other people can learn from some of their techniques. I mean, I ebb and flow with regards to the MMR classification, but one thing MMR has done is improved a lot of people's modeling techniques and then put them in front of other people to teach them, right?
Right.
No, absolutely. I mean, you can't. Yeah, Tony, I'm interested in what your thoughts are about this modeling and the quality of the models that are coming out and how far can they go? Because that was a big part of the conversation I had with Joe. It's kind of like, where do they go from here?
Well, you know, one of the things that, with my interest in hobby history, is it's surprising how what you would accept as this is so good it can't get better, and that bar just keeps moving. I mean, I think of an example that comes to mind a lot for me is I was a little kid at the time, but when the Atlas Roco HO diesels came out in the mid-'70s, I thought, wow, those truck side frames look awesome, and these seem so much better than a lot of things. And I look at those things now and see nothing but shortcomings, yet in 1975, they seem like, wow, how can it ever get better than this? And they run great. You know, they look good. The flexible handrails were so much better than a lot of the older, you know, metal stanchions and everything. And I think that's when I think, well, how can it get better? It's like, I don't know, but somehow it does. That, you know, what you would have looked at, you know, 20 years ago and said this just can't get better, and it just it does. Look at like the Athearn Genesis F units of about 2000, how spectacular they seemed, and they are. But then look at the road specific F units they're doing now that are de-skirted and have all the, you know, additional road specific like antennas and things like that on them. That at the time, I mean, yeah, you could do it, and guys super detailed them. But again, the hobby just kind of keeps moving up levels that it's hard to, you know, again.
It's hard to fathom.
Yeah, it's hard to look at something today, you know, whether it be a Scale Trains piece or an Athearn Genesis piece and go, well, it's nice, but here's how I bet it'll be better in 10 or 20 years. And yet they do, you know, that they'll be something that you don't quite see now, but, oh, look, they're doing this now. Oh, that's even better. And that to me is a lot of part of the fun of the hobby, is seeing those kind of innovations come in.
I'm just amazed at what they're doing now, and I just kind of look at it and think, I don't see how they're ever gonna like this. This Scale Trains N scale Gevo is just like, really, like, how do you, like, you know, it's got an interior cab and the whole 9 yards. It's like, I don't understand how they could ever get farther. And yet, Tom, a friend, the guy that used to be, the fellow that used to be at Exact Rail, Tom Blaine Hadfield, and it's with a D, not a T. I put it with a T everywhere when his and then he had to say, no, it's Hadfield, not Hatfield. And I thought, well, I'll just start fighting with him anyways. But anyways, he started his own freight car manufacturing company, and it's like all these like you must get the sense. We were doing viewer mail tonight, and I mean, the first three viewer mails we did were, you know, guys in their 30s. I just get the sense that this hobby is like way bigger than anybody realizes.
Without question, yeah.
Like,
I mean, this is the perennial conversation, but it's only because we've had so many naysayers at the top, right?
Yeah.
I mean, practically, and these naysayers now, thankfully, are slowly but surely moving aside for the rest of us to have a conversation about the hobby. But no, I mean, look, the history of the hobby, particularly in the past 20 years, is the naysayers are in the publications, and they're, you know, but practically there are new folk coming into the hobby every year. So,
yeah, why are the naysayers in the publications and out front? Why is that? Can somebody?
I don't know.
Yeah, like it seems like they're always the ones that are getting
You've been closer to them than most, Lionel. If anyone can probably answer that question honestly, it's you, right?
I have no idea. I have no idea what's going.
Yes.
I don't know. Well, it's we're talking about your friend Tony, your personal friend Tony.
Yeah,
Tony
my
K.
personal friend.
I think he's the only he's the model railroader simply known as Tony.
I wouldn't give him that level. I know plenty of Tonys that are far more convivial than this individual. But look, my perspective is, look, naysayers breed naysayers. The people that have been buying the magazines and what have you, a certain percentage of them are naysayers, but actually it's really boring. I've been at regionals where these people, because actually many of them are in my region, where they stand up and they say all this nonsense. And you're just like, well, why would you even attend this thing with these people up front saying that the hobby's dying and all this other kind of stuff? I mean, they've got a bunch of deceased estates in front of them that are trying to sell off. But aside from that, it's very, very difficult to really fathom why there's so much negativity in this hobby when so much amazing stuff, amazingly positive stuff, comes out in a variety of different directions. But moving the naysayers along, we can joke about them, but practically, I don't think there's much really more to say about these folks.
Well, and that's what you just said. There can be so much negativity in this hobby, and there's really no room for it anymore.
Exactly.
Like those days are gone. Like I don't think we've even scratched the surface of what the digital media can do to bring this hobby together. I mean, look at the conversation we're having now, which I didn't introduce anybody at the start of this segment, but that's okay. That would mean we'd be professional. But we got Mike in Green Bay, home of the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. We got Bruce in Medford, Oregon. We got Tony in Plattsburgh, Missouri. Which, by the way, Tom, did you realize that Plattsburgh, Missouri, is the home of David Rice Atchison, who was the president for one day?
Oh, I think I've been through that part of Missouri in my road trip recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
we went through the top and the bottom of Missouri. We were well traveled in Missouri when we crossed the country in November, let me tell you.
Where were you going?
We were going to Pennsylvania.
To see who did you see?
Well, I went to see Ron Kleiss. Ron Kleiss is the positive thing, but I was at the time doing a podcast with one of the members, or perhaps one says former members of Jackass, as in MTV Jackass.
Oh, really?
So I was going to meet him because we'd been doing a podcast for 9 months and he'd invited me to come and see him. And, apparently I didn't pass the sniff test, so I ended up spending my time with Ron Kleiss in terms of the time that I'll talk with. My wife and my mother-in-law had an amazing vacation. They went off and traveled Pennsylvania Dutch and did a variety of things. But, we've crossed the country. And look, I am as you are, Lionel. I mean, you travel north-south, but I travel east-west. The U.S. is a great place to see on the road.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many places to see. When are you going to go to Amherst? When are you going to go to the Springfield show?
Yeah, that's a real question, isn't it? Well, they seem to be hiring more people at my outfit. So I've just got to train a few more people and then, I might get out there.
Oh,
maybe next year.
No, but you're taking a trip. You're going to the O-scale. Don't say you can't get away because you were just in.
True. No, look, it's summer. It's summer and it's well planned. Unfortunately, people tend to buy things in December and they want support in January. I don't know how it works out. But
okay.
Look, I'm doing the two meets amazingly. I was actually going to work on the East Coast for a period of time, but that didn't work out. So, yeah, I'm going to those two because I planned 3-4 months in advance, and basically I've jostled a lot of stuff. I probably could get to Amherst if I put it in the calendar. The main thing is I'm just not a huge fan of bad weather, and this seems to be like a main bad weather kind of show. So, I don't know. I'll get there one year. I'm not sure whether it'll be next year.
See, that's another thing I don't understand. I think I've gone to the last 6 Springfields, and I haven't had bad weather yet. It's like
you're the lucky charm.
Well, I bet you. You know what? I bet you you're right.
Exactly.
I bet you wherever I am, the weather is fine.
Exactly.
All right, guys, let's close this up. Do we have any closing questions for Mr. Model Railroading Podcast, Tom Barbalet, who is the host and creator of Model Rail Radio on a competitive network.
Competitive network.
A rival network.
The sister podcast.
Wait a minute, Lionel, I thought you said it was a spinoff.
It is. I just don't want. I don't have the.
Yeah, don't get Tom going on that.
Yeah, I don't have the heart. I don't have the heart to tell him. He thinks it was his own idea, and I don't want to.
Look, I've already acknowledged that Bruce Wilson is the cause of this thing. I take no credit for you calling into Model Rail Radio, Lionel. It's all Bruce Wilson.
Absolutely. It was Bruce Wilson's fault. And then I took over, and then you wouldn't let me just have the whole show, so I had to create my
I would
own.
have given you the show if you'd asked. Look, Lionel, the show's always up for grabs. You can call in and look. You want modelrailradio.com, Lionel? You want to run the shows? You put it out there, Lionel. I'm willing to say yes.
So it's probably, what are we? Has it reached the $1 billion mark yet, or is it like still in the hundreds of millions?
I think my wife will have to negotiate on my behalf, so I'll get her in here and she can work it out.
Okay. what kind of wine does she like?
What kind? What?
What kind of wine does she like?
My wife.
Yes.
It's interesting. It varies greatly, but it's not anything that I can ever buy for her, unfortunately.
Okay, well, say it's hardcore negotiating. We're coming down to what would she like to have there to ease her mind as we're putting numbers for it.
A replacement for Tom.
Her husband back on occasional Saturday evenings might be the lure. I don't know.
Are you working? Do you work on Saturday evening?
Well, it varies. Recently, not so much. Sometimes, but not so much. And certainly, in terms of actual model rail radio recordings, work hasn't intersected with it in a few recordings.
So who was the person on Jackass that you were doing a podcast with?
The gentleman's name is Brandon DiCamillo, and he is one of he actually did the initial Jackasses. He's in the first skit, and he wrote and organized a majority of the more technical ones. So he's a kind of behind-the-scenes guy, but people that are deep fans of the show know who he was or is.
You know who should do a podcast together is you and me.
I think so.
We are like yin and yang.
You pitched that to me a couple of years ago when I was looking for a co-host.
You were looking for a co-host, and I said I am your guy because I am so opposite from you.
I want to talk about bike gangs with you, Lionel. I want to do a bike gang podcast expose with Lionel Strang.
Wow.
And we'll use a false name for you, and we'll do like voice masking. We'll just call you the Beard. That's what we'll call you.
Yeah, but we should do that for model railroading, the model railroading gangs. But yeah, I was in there. I got out of Chivo.
You see? You're a natural, Lionel. You're a natural.
Step program for model railroad.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to end this segment, Tom. I want you to tell me what the future of the hobby is. What's the future of model railroading to you?
Oh, I think it's the kids that are attending the shows now, particularly the single-parent kids. I think they're the ones that are driving this thing, and they're going to be coming into the hobby, and they're going to be looking for low-cost, high-tech solutions, and they're just going to be pushing the boundaries with regards to the hobby.
Yeah.
So donate your unused hobby stores in your houses to these kids because they're the future.
I think this hobby is way bigger than anybody realizes.
Exactly.
Like way bigger than anybody realizes. I don't think we're even close to scratching the surface of this hobby. This hobby is one of the things that's going to make the digital this hobby is one of the things that the digital world is going to bring to life like nobody could have possibly imagined. Except for, how about this for a closing subject, all the tariffs now on podcasts going back and forth across the border.
I haven't heard about this. I'm operating an illegal podcast on a boat 7 miles off the coast.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
the old pirate radio days.
That's what we need. That's what we need. We need to get an old fishing trawler, you and me, and we'll do our podcasts on an old fishing trawler about 7 miles off the coast. You, sir, have hit the nail on the head. I'm going to introduce everybody before we leave. Did I do that? We got Tony in Plattsburgh. We got Bruce in Medford. We got Mike in Green Bay. Bruce the Angry Mail Boy in Barrie, Ontario. And Tom Barbalet, the crazy podcast guy in San Jose, California.
Oh, man.
Hey, Jim.
Oh, yes, Lionel.
I think it's time we did one of those little episodes we call What's on the Workbench.
Ooh, are we traveling today, buddy?
We are traveling. We are going across the pond.
Oh, bloody lovely, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be bloody marvelous. We're going across the pond to the United Kingdom to meet a fellow named Peter Borcherds. You know, he's always
Oh, yes.
he's always posting on our Facebook page. He's
Another one of us living N-scalers, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he's an N-scaler. Absolutely. A lovely man. A lovely chap. Anyways, let's go. Grab some sandwiches out of the fridge, and we'll jump out. We'll.
I got the picnic basket if you got the canoe.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll just start. Well, because we're in Sheboygan, which of course is on the shore of Lake Michigan, where the AML World Headquarters are on the 48th floor of the Mildred A. McCracken Building in downtown Sheboygan. We can basically, all we got to do is walk a few blocks to the shore with the canoe. Then we'll paddle through the Great Lakes.
Out to St. Lawrence and out to sea, baby.
Yeah, it's just going to be great. We'll spend some quality time together.
All right.
Okay, we made it. We made it. That was unbelievable. That storm, the perfect storm there for a while. It was nice to stop in Iceland.
I just paddled all the way from Sheboygan, and boy, are my arms tired.
Yeah. And it didn't seem to take as long as I thought. I was sure it would take less than 2 months.
Well, once you get the canoe up to 88 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
After that, it's all just time.
Yeah. So anyway, we're standing here in front of Peter Borcherds' house, home, his abode. I wonder what they call them in England. Let's knock on the door and see if he's home. Peter, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Who is that at the door?
This is Lionel and Jim, and we brought along our little companion, Uncle Larry.
Uncle Larry, hello.
Yes, we brought it's the three of us, and we've come over to see what's on your workbench. Have you ever heard of our podcast? It's called A Modeler's Life.
I might have listened to probably every episode, I think. Maybe, yes. I do a lot of driving.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. What do you do for a living?
It's an exciting thing called IT support.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a farmer.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry about that.
One of us, there was a picture with turkeys. I'm guessing you were driving down the road and saw the turkeys.
No, they're actually opposite our house.
Oh, really?
We've got a turkey farm opposite the house.
So you're saying you're surrounded by turkeys?
Exactly, yes. Pretty much. Well, that's not including the neighbours, of course, so I've got to be nice to them.
Buddy, we know the feeling.
Yeah, it's right. It's hard to soar like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys.
Yes. Yeah.
So do you live in the country?
Yeah, it's pretty much the country. Yeah, it's a small village near a largish town, about 40 miles outside of London, sort of west of London.
Oh, yeah?
But it's pretty much the countryside here.
Okay.
A lot of farmland around us, which is pretty nice.
So do you have a couple 100 acres there?
No, I wish. I think we've got about an eighth of an acre, I think.
That's pretty. That's a decent size for the United Kingdom.
Yeah, well, all our neighbours have got about an acre. We're surrounded by very large houses, but we took the easy option. We took the cheap option.
There you go.
So yeah.
So what are you working on right now? What's on your workbench, Peter? The reason we've come here, the reason Jim and I paddled all the way across the Atlantic, we would have been here sooner, but we stopped in Iceland for a couple of days.
A good saunas there. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes, and Jim and I, we didn't share one.
Steam baths. Yes. Yeah.
Steam baths. Yeah. So anyways, the reason we've come is we want to see what's on your workbench.
Right. Well, John will be pleased to hear this. I've currently got about 10 N-scale signals I'm busy building.
Oh my!
I think you probably saw the photos on your Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
So they're from Showcase Miniatures. They do a series of kits. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of them. So I've ordered I've got about 23 of them on order. I've built about 5 at the moment. But I've got some more to pick up in the States when I go over in June. So I've got plenty more to do.
Oh yeah. Okay. And how long does it take you to build one of those?
Currently about 45 minutes per one, but I am speeding up.
Oh yeah.
You'll have it perfected by the time you get to the last one, right?
I hope so. Yeah. No, the time-consuming bit is actually removing them all from the because they're all. Some of it is cast metal. Other of it is photo etch metal as well. So it's removing them from the sprues and cleaning it all up. That's what takes the time.
So, so who makes them?
Showcase Miniatures. It's over in the States. They're I think it's like a small family business.
Okay. So how many millions of pounds did it cost you to have them sent to?
Not well, considering the package is tiny. Because they're so small, they fit into a very small box. It didn't cost that much. It was I think it was about $7 or $8 or something like that to ship it across.
Oh, that's not bad.
But it's only a small box. But
if you had sent it kept it in North America and sent it to Canada, it would have been $340.
Yeah. Yeah.
For some strange and peculiar reason, shipping anything across the imaginary line that separates Canada and the United States costs millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's a strange. It's such close neighbors, but very expensive there. Yeah, but,
it's like a family that hates each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're sharing a duplex, and we haven't talked for years.
It's bloody awful, the neighbours. It's terrible. I charge them twice as much to cut the bloody lawn.
Exactly.
I mean, one of my model railroading buddies, Tim Morris from Fast Tracks, he was telling me how much it costs to ship his stuff across for the conventions and the shows and stuff.
Right.
Oh my!
And it costs him an absolute fortune because he brings across a couple of crates.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Layout and a couple of crates of equipment and stuff, and it costs an absolute fortune.
Well, that's why I bought a house in Florida. Like, I don't spend any time there. I just wanted a mailing address.
Yes. Well, that's where I've got my friend Jim over in the States in Erie, Colorado. He's my mailing address out there.
You have one?
Yeah. Well, it's a friend's house. Yeah.
No, I mean you have a friend.
Yeah. I've got one or two out there.
Yeah. Okay, that was rude, and I apologize. How did you meet Jim?
He used to be over here in the UK. He's a fellow South African as well. Was living in the UK. He belonged to the same railroad club I did. We became great friends, and then he got shipped off with his company over to San Francisco, and then from there to Denver.
Okay, well, we won't get into all that because we covered all that stuff in your interview. But because this is mostly just about what on the workbench, and people have already listened. People who listen to every episode know you like as if they could drop by anyways now. Hey,
help you.
Yeah, hey Larry, Uncle Larry, do you have any questions for Peter?
I have nothing. Not right now.
That's perfect.
We get used to that after a while.
Yeah, Uncle Larry plays the part of the guy who has nothing to say.
It's just easier that way.
Okay.
And usually it's an epic fail, but today?
Yeah, it's working okay, yeah. So what else you got on your workbench?
I've got a actually I might as well actually have a look. I've got a boxcar that I'm busy weathering. It's a Burlington Northern, good old Burlington Northern 50-foot boxcar.
So just so everybody knows, what exactly is it? Just remind everybody, what is it you model?
I model N-scale BNSF, some modern outline. And it started off as an intermodal layout, but it's now pretty much I've got this whole switching district and everything as well. So I've got a whole oil cars and box cars and everything.
So how big's the layout?
It's about 23 foot by 10 foot.
Wow, it's a good size N scale.
Yeah, that's a huge layout.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
It's a U shape.
Let's all talk at the same time.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's my fault. I'm the one that keeps interrupting because I always have like a million questions for everybody.
Ask away.
Yeah, apparently I can't. No, but isn't that a pretty big layout by British standards?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's a couple that operate on that are a lot larger than this, but most UK ones are in spare rooms or attics. Most of the time. So I've got mine out in the garage, so I've got a bit more space than most people have.
So how did you end up modeling the BNSF?
A few trips up to Rochelle in the States. I've been to Chicago quite a few times with friends. It's a rail fanning up there.
Are you with the mafia? Are you with the mafia?
We stayed in the Mafia Hotel once. Well, it was one. If anyone knows Mannheim Road in Chicago, you'd know what I'm talking about. Yes, good old Motel 8. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So we saw a lot of BNSF out there. So I just got sick of, apologies to all those UP guys, I got sick of seeing yellow. So it was nice seeing other colours for a change.
And you had no desire to model South African or British stuff?
I don't really know much about British stuff, even though I live in the UK. It never really took my fancy at all.
Right, yeah.
But they're too small compared to once I've seen the American stuff. It just
Yeah. Especially in N scale.
Yeah.
So does the layout pretty much fill the whole room?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And are you going to invite us in there at any time? Can we run it?
Yeah, of course you can run it. Yeah, well, once I've got my automation set up, you'll be able to run it from there.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be cool. Wow. So tell us a little bit about that. No, don't tell us about that because you already told us about that in the interview, and we're closing in on our time. We'd like to keep these working on the workbench things pretty short.
Yes, pretty short, yeah.
How long will it take you to weather that N scale boxcar? Like 5 minutes?
Well, so far it's taken me 6 months, but yeah, it should take me about 5 minutes.
6 months.
With generous pauses in between.
Are you doing it with an actual N scale brush?
Yeah, there's tiny N scale airbrush. Yeah. Yeah. I got one.
Waiting for his package of N scale road dust to arrive.
Yeah. How many cars do you have?
Quite a few. I haven't counted them recently, but I think there's about 70 or 80. I think.
And where do you buy most of your stuff?
Here in the UK or on my trips in the States.
Okay.
Usually.
So you go to the States a fair amount?
Well, I used to go about twice a year. I haven't been for about 2 years, but I'm going in June again.
Oh, that's right. And you're going up. That's right. You're going up to. We read one of your posts one time. You're going down to Kansas City from Denver.
That's right. Yeah, we're driving down for the N scale convention down there.
Yeah, you're driving over to Kansas City.
Yes, that's right.
You're not driving. If you go down, you're going to be in New Mexico, and you're going to miss it by like 1,000 miles.
and a few days, yes.
Yeah, and a few days.
The scenery is lovely.
Yeah, the scenery will be nice. But
great people, yeah. No, we're going across. Yeah,
okay.
Across Kansas City. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's a little tip for you. When you're going across, who's driving? Your friend?
Both of us will probably drive, take turns.
Okay. In his car?
Rental car.
Okay.
Save mileage on his other car.
Right. Exactly. And when you're driving across the freeway and you get pulled over for speeding, don't mention my name because it won't help.
I thought they all knew you there.
Well, they know me. That's why you don't want to mention my name.
It's a coupon for a free extra night in the clink.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. Yeah, it'll save us on hotel bills.
Yeah. When you say, do you know a guy named Lionel Strang? Yeah. And then you'll really be in trouble.
I never heard of him.
Yeah.
My 81 Canadian.
Yeah, I've managed to. There's some states I haven't gotten a ticket in, but that list is a lot shorter than the other one. All right. Well, I guess that's it. So you're working on signals.
Yep.
You're weathering an N-scale boxcar, which has taken you 6 months, and you have 80 cars, so it's probably going to take you about 40 years to weather all your boxcars.
I will speed up again as well. Yeah, once life gets out the way. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what else? Anything else you need to tell us?
That's taking up all my time at the moment on the workbench. Yeah, pretty much. Keep me busy enough.
How many signals is your layout going to need?
Probably about. I'm probably overdoing it a bit, but probably about 40.
Wow, that's cool.
But yeah, I'm probably putting a few too many. More than I should really put on. But I'm trying to keep it sort of prototypical in a way. So I've got to do bidirectional. Some of the track is going to be bidirectional, so I've got to put signals in for that.
Right.
So that's going to add up the numbers. Yeah.
I noticed you don't want us to. You didn't bring your wife in here to see us. You didn't. That's pretty wise. That seems to be the standard procedure.
I would say yes.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Especially now that we brought.
It's just safer that way for all parties.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
She made cake and everything.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
See, that's just like the old saying. If I knew you were coming, we'd have baked a cake. They knew. They prepared.
Yeah.
You're polite English society. We get to experience it.
You're with MI6, aren't you?
No,
you know what hospitality out here in Wisconsin is, don't you, Peter?
Cheese.
Hey, come on in. You want a beer?
Yeah.
Beer and cheese. Love it.
Yes.
Be careful with this guy, Jim. He's with MI6. I'm convinced this guy's with MI6. It's
cool. Can I fire the Bond gun?
Yeah. Well, he's not going to admit to it. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Just because I can drive a boat. Yeah. Right. I was trying to reenact the scene from the last movie.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. All right, that's it. We're kind of killed enough time. We've wasted everybody's time. Bruce Kelly out there in Oregon's thinking, man, I wish this was longer. Well, it's not going to be longer, Bruce, because it's a working on the workbench. It's a working on the workbench. It's a working on the workbench. I'm not even saying that right. Anything else you want to say, Larry?
Good boy.
Attaboy. All right, that's it. We're leaving now. Thanks, Peter. You've been very hospitable.
Well, thanks for the visit, guys, and have a safe trip back across the pond.
All right. Yes, we're going to go back across the pond.
Yes. Watch out for those volcanoes in Iceland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, see ya.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, boys, it's time. We got to keep going on these. I know you guys are tired. I know. We're trudging through the swamps of the Kelly questions, looking for any survivors. But
have we found any yet?
No, there's no survivors in the.
Oh no!
Deep in the forests of the Kelly questions, we're knee high in the swamps. Watch out for the alligators. And the humid, man, it's humid here too.
It is too.
It's like
my pits are sweaty, stinky.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sticky,
clammy.
Yeah.
Sticky and stinky. They were. Well, they used to work in.
They were a comedy team, weren't they?
Yeah, they actually had a place on the second floor of the Mildred A. McCracken.
Yeah.
So I'm here with Bruce, the Angry Mail Boy.
C'est moi.
And I have also Tom Jacobs, Double Agent 13.
Howdy.
Not Double Agent, Agent 0013. When did you become a double agent?
I can't tell you.
Okay. So
neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, I can't tell you why, but Tom, how far is it to Hoboken from where you are?
It is 138 miles.
Okay. Is there anything in Hoboken?
There's a client of mine.
Okay.
And there is a really good restaurant, Del Frisco's Grill, right across the street from the client.
Perfect.
And also there is Carlo's Bakery from the TV show Cake Boss.
Oh,
okay.
The original Carlo's Bakery is in Hoboken, a couple blocks from the client. So no visit over to this particular client is complete without a stop at Carlo's for some cannolis or cupcakes or whatever might suit your fancy.
Excellent.
You know how they came up with that, eh?
No.
No. Well, years and years ago in Italy, this is actually a true story. I've verified this many times.
All right.
Years and years and years ago, on the coast of Italy, in the southern coast of Italy, they were one of the fishing boats came in, and of course this is turn of the century, 1800s, and so the fishing boats were fairly primitive, and there was a couple of guys on the dock, and one of the fellas' names, we referred to him as Oli. So anyways, these fishing boats came in, and one of them started to sink. And the guys are like, there's 3 or 4 guys, and the guy's like, save me. And we're all going, and they're all standing there going, well, we can't swim. We can't help you. And the guy whose boat is going down looks over at Ole and goes, can Ole swim?
Rim shot.
Whose father happened to be a baker. But then Ole jumped in and saved the guy, and they named a famous Italian dish after him called cannolis. Do you believe that?
Not for a second.
I was going to say.
I was thinking on a little longer, but I have to agree with 0013 on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? This is Kelly Questions. Remember that guy from a long time ago, Ed Olszewski? I can't even.
Ed Olszewski.
Ed Olszewski. There's no F in there. Ed Olszewski.
No.
Anyways,
you can ask him again, but
we interviewed him a long time ago, and we thought we'd do the Kelly Questions with him now. So somebody, Bruce, can you go into the green? Actually, you know what? Let's just knock on the door and run away. See if he comes out. You see if he's still in there. All right, let's get Ed. Come on out of the green room.
Can I breathe? Oh, thank you. Oh, cripes. What is in there?
You've been in there a long time, man.
That was, that's great training for learning to hold your breath.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever heard the story of how the Italian cannoli thing got its name?
Yeah, while you were talking about it, I hacked your audio system.
Okay. All right. So anyways, Ed, we had you on. We interviewed you a while ago, and you were talking about the Central New York division of the NMRA, the Central New York division of the Northeast region of the National Model Railroad Association.
Yes, sir.
That's what we need is another layer in model railroading. Like the divisions need to be divided up into segments or something.
There'd be subdivisions.
Yeah, subdivisions. Exactly.
Yeah, but if you look at it, the reality is the NMRA actually exists at the division level. That's where we meet the people.
Absolutely. Don't get me started on that. That's a bad street to go down because there's way too much administration in the NMRA. It's all at the division level and the regional level. The regional level and the divisional level is where it's all happening.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we briefly talked about how you work in radar. You're a guy that works in radar, and you maintain radar for Lockheed Martin. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I don't suppose there's any chance at any time in your life you ever happen to have anything to do with the fire department, is there?
Yeah. There was a period of time in my life when I was a volunteer fireman.
Really?
Yep.
Bruce, do you remember if we covered that in the original interview?
No, I don't think it ever came out in the original recordings.
Tom, do you know? Do you know why we didn't cover that in the original recordings?
My only explanation is because Bruce Kelly wasn't around, who was also a volunteer fireman.
No, he was a real fireman. I mean, not that you're not a real fireman if you're volunteer.
Yeah, let's not go down
that's not the right. He was a full-time fireman.
Yes,
Bruce Kelly was a full-time fireman. But no, the reason that we didn't talk about it in the original interview is because Ed was being a problem and not telling us everything.
He was not forthcoming with information.
Yes, he was not forthcoming. Which, as a secret agent, you should have been able to perhaps extract that information from.
Well, in my defense, I was not fully briefed before the mission. So
that's true. Excellent point.
Look, guys. In reality, none of you had been read in on that program, so I was not at liberty to divulge any information about it. Okay. Since that time, we've gone through the paperwork. We've done the background checks. You've been read into the program. We can talk about it.
Well, we can read you out of it.
Well, it is your show. You can do what you choose.
Exactly. What was I going to say? I was going to say one other thing. What was the name of the town where you were a volunteer fireman?
It was the Fairmount Volunteer Fire Department.
And where is Fairmount in relation to? You were from Central New York, so where is Fairmount in relation to Central New York?
Fairmount is within the town of Camillus. The fire district we serve is fully within the town of Camillus, just west of Syracuse.
I was going to say, is that just down the road from Pixley?
No.
And not far from Bug Tussle?
But it's just north of Bordino.
Oh, yeah. Okay, which is a town. And there's Bordino scale models there.
It's Bordino scale line, yep.
Okay, exactly. So go check that out. All right. Syracuse is a hotbed of model railroading. And now we're going to do the Kelly questions. Are you prepared? Have you ever heard the Kelly questions?
I have heard the Kelly questions, yes, sir.
All right. These are...
He sounds like he's getting a little cocky, but does he realize they change sometimes?
Sometimes they do.
That's true. I have not heard them in quite some time, but I'm hope I'm prepared.
Which do you prefer, steam or diesel?
Steam.
Any particular steam?
Shays.
Ah, yeah. Who doesn't love Shays? I'm not a big steam fan, but I love Shays. How can you not love a Shay?
How can you not love something that sounds like it's going 400 miles an hour when it's going at walking speed?
Yeah.
They are wonderful machines. Just to watch them.
And where would you go to watch a Shay?
My favorite place is the Cass Scenic Railroad in Cass, West Virginia.
And how many times have you been there?
Twice.
Yeah, I think I've been there twice myself. I took my wife there when she was pregnant. Not the smartest thing I ever did in my life. I've done a lot of dumb things, and that was right up there. What is the top speed of a Shay?
Oh, I want to say 10 or 12 miles an hour if you're lucky.
Yeah, I would think that they were probably running around 6 or 7 most of the time, wouldn't they?
Yeah, most of the time. But like Bruce said, when they're doing 10 miles an hour, it sounds like they're doing 400.
Exactly. Shays are like a fast. Talk about a Rube Gore. How did, this is a way off topic, but how did people without computers and all the stuff that we have nowadays, how did they invent things like that? That's amazing when you think about what the era that those machines came out of.
Yeah, it's a great piece of engineering work. The way they've got everything geared and the universal joints that make it work over the uneven track. Wonderful piece of machinery.
All right. What's your favorite prototype railroad?
Current or legendary?
Bruce, is my microphone on?
I thought I heard you ask a question. What is your favorite prototype railroad?
Okay, that would be the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western.
There we go. Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western. And that ran from to?
Ran from Hoboken to Buffalo with a branch line up through Syracuse to Utica, or from Binghamton up to Utica, and from Binghamton up through Syracuse to Oswego, with a couple of small spurs to Cincinnatus and Richfield Springs.
Tom, have you ever been to Hoboken?
I have been to Hoboken. I was there today, as a matter of fact. And actually, what's interesting is the tower from the Lackawanna Depot in Hoboken is still standing. And I've never gotten to it up close, but you can see it from a distance. And down the length of the tower, in electric light bulbs, it spells out the word Lackawanna.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that at the ferry terminal?
I think so, yeah.
I've seen the ferry terminal from the water side. We were on a cruise ship, sailed by it, and I think it looks like they've refurbished that whole building. It's a wonderful looking building.
Yeah, Hoboken is actually really it used to kind of be the butt of jokes back in like the 70s and 80s, but it really has undergone a revival in recent years. It's the hip and happening place to live these days for the young crowd.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you go. And so have they revitalized the tower? Is that how they've ended up with the Lackawanna name down in light bulbs? Like, is it being?
I think it was always there. It looks to me like it's been restored.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they went through that whole ferry terminal and restored it in the last 10 years or so.
That'd be an interesting place to go. If you were rail fanning, would you rather photograph the trains or ride on them?
Photograph.
Okay. What was your first model train?
An American Flyer.
And so that's S scale.
Yep. My folks borrowed it from my uncle.
Oh, really?
That was my first. Yeah, that was my first train.
Did they ever give it back?
Yes.
Okay. It's American Flyer. Don't say it's S scale. Right now, Mike Ostertag just about swerved off the road or choked on his dinner or something. It's S gauge, or it's American Flyer is American Flyer. It's not S anything. It's just American Flyer, I think, apparently. In those circles, if you travel in those S scale circles, I think American Flyer is just American Flyer.
Yep.
I feel like that should be a conversation, but I don't feel like anybody's interested, so I'm just going to move on.
We've had this debate before.
Yeah. What's your favorite model railroad scale?
HO.
Attaboy.
There you go. True or false? Is N scale dead?
false.
Okay. I don't feel like it's dead so much as it's just lost in the hobby.
It better not be dead because I've got a fair amount of standard gauge N scale and a good deal of NN3 equipment that I'm trying to figure out how to put together.
NN3?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
N scale that runs on Z gauge track.
Okay, I've said this before and I'm gonna say it again because I feel like even though it's a controversial statement, it has to be said. I hate at Z scale. I don't get it. It's like so friggin' tiny. I don't understand what Z scale is. I don't understand the whole point of it. And NN3 I think I can live with. NN3 I think I can understand where we're going with that.
Yeah. Well, you know how Z scale got its name, right?
No.
They ran out of letters.
Oh, I like that. Can I use that again?
You can use that, yes.
Did I ever tell you how cannoli got its name? And how did you get all this equipment?
A friend of mine was moving from N scale out to HON3 and was looking for a good home for it. And I had in a small N scale layout previously, and he asked me if I'd be interested.
So is there an N scale layout in your future?
Yes, in my future, yes. I have 2 households here in the basement I'm looking at that I have to get rid of first.
2 households?
Yeah, my sons and my daughters.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah, favorite model railroad.
Boy, it's a tough one. I've seen so many good ones. But I guess I would have to say this is not one that most people are going to know, but Mike Shanahan's Pennsylvania Railroad. He's a member of the Central New York Division, and he's got a great rendition of the Pennsylvania Railroad.
Oh, really?
You know, a great model of the horseshoe curve right here in the Central New York area.
And is it in the Syracuse area? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just south of Syracuse.
And does the layout have a name or?
I think he calls it the Pennsylvania Railroad.
Okay. And how long have you known him?
Oh, years. 20 years.
Okay.
At least. Yeah, I met Mike through the division.
Yeah, you're very positive about the NMRA and the experiences you've had.
Yeah.
Through the NMRA, are you not?
I am, and I mean at the national level, I think the work they do with the standards has been a really big help to the hobby, and moving some of it forward with the DCC standard and the defense of that when somebody tried to claim it as their own.
Right.
That was actually a big thing.
Right.
If they didn't step up and with some help from a few others in the industry and fight that, that would have put a big damper on DCC and the sound.
No, exactly. Okay, so there you go. And were you at Mike Shanahan's recently? Like say
I was.
Like say on June 3rd?
I was.
Between the hours of 2 and 4?
Actually, I was there between the hours of 1 and 5.
There you go. And did he invite you or did you just show up?
I just showed up.
There you go.
Mike's that kind of guy.
There you go. All right.
He welcomes you.
All right. Who is most influential model railroader for you?
I learned an awful lot from another member of the division and a good friend of mine, Brian Curry. He's helped me a lot with what I've learned and about scratch building and weathering and just model railroading in general. I mean, everybody in the division has really helped me out, but Brian's helped me out in a lot of those ways.
Okay, Brian Curry.
Yep.
Curry?
Curry.
Okay.
Yep.
You wouldn't happen to have his driver's license number, would you?
No, I'm not at liberty to disclose that information. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, cool. And so how did you guys meet? So you met in the NMRA in the division?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And how long have you guys known each other?
Been 20 years.
Cool. So another plus for being in the NMRA.
Yes, sir.
All right. Select one of the following as your favorite: bench work, track work, scenery, or electrical.
Electrical, I guess.
Are you a bit of an electrical guy?
Yeah, I am.
Because you maintain radar and invent radar and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got a couple of patents to my name.
Oh, do you really?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, now Ed, now you're just annoying me. There's a magical line. There's a magical line we cross when I interview somebody that's been listening to the show for 3.5 years. Says he's heard so many of the episodes, and he's a super fan. And he's a super fan, and I gotta squeeze the information on. You got patents? How do you have patents?
Had an idea, flushed them out, wrote them up, gave them to the lawyers. They submitted them, defended them with the patent office, and they issued me patents.
All right. And can you give us an idea of what these patents are?
One of them was for a type of radar design that would allow the radar to look in a full circle without any rotating parts.
Wow. That sounds like so you kind of drew that up on a napkin one night, or?
Pretty darn close, believe it or not. It was a couple of us talking, and we started sketching stuff out.
So how does that work for you in terms of if that was something that was done through, or in relation to your employment? Do they own the?
Yeah.
I mean, the patent's in your name, but they have the right to use that.
Yes.
Whatever the.
I'm listed as one of the inventors, but Lockheed Martin owns the patent rights.
Gotcha.
And did they give you a little something extra in your pay for that?
Yeah, they took care of me.
Oh, okay, there you go. Cool. So you used to, up until recently, you traveled 50% of the time, and you maintained radar, and you did things to radar for the U.S. government.
Yes.
So you'd be out in the middle of the Arizona desert, and there'd be a radar station there, and you'd be doing something for the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm.
And that
was my job.
Okay, and could you give us the GPS coordinates of where this would be?
Nope.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, here's another radar question. You ever cook chicken with a radar?
I do it all the time.
There you go.
You do it too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what your microwave oven is, man. It's
Radar.
nothing but a fancy radar.
Is it a fancy radar?
Yeah, there's guys who have actually taken the parts out of a microwave and created a low power radar.
Wow, that's kind of cool. My microwave oven is 36 years old.
Oh yeah,
it's the same one we've only ever had one. The light went out about 15 years ago, but this thing still works just as like it ever always did.
Does it put a load on the whole grid when it starts up?
Yeah, exactly.
Lights dim for miles around.
Exactly.
Oh, Strang's cooking again.
The guy at the power station brings another generator online.
Yeah, exactly. If you could give somebody starting out in the hobby just one item and cost was no object, what would it be?
One item and cost was no object. To be honest, I would give them an NMRA membership.
Yeah. What would you give them if you weren't being honest?
An NMRA membership.
I'm concerned because you felt like you had to preface your answer, so I hope a lot of your other answers have been not. So okay, so you'd given them. You'd given a.
Yeah.
Would you?
I've learned so much because of my association with the NMRA and the people in the division. That's where I've learned the hobby.
Do you feel like in the Northeast United States that the NMRA, the division, the Northeast region, does anything in particular to make it as robust as it is?
Our particular division I can speak to, we're very active. We meet every 6 weeks or so, and we do some special events. In the past, when I wasn't traveling so much, I actually put together some bus trips a couple of times a year where we would go, say from Syracuse, I'd charter a bus. We'd go down to Scranton to Steamtown and the Lackawanna coal mine, go down in a deep vein mine and see what it was like down there. Another trip, we went from Syracuse to Medina, New York, to a model railroad museum there, and they actually had a tourist train operation. We rode the train that day. I did a couple of tours for division members to the rock quarry, where we saw the quarry operations, how they load rail cars with the stone for ballast, and watched them blow up some rock walls.
Right.
Of course, we covered that in the previous interview.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about you being a fireman or having patents.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That stuff just didn't come up.
Yeah. So you guys just embrace each other, and you embrace the hobby, and you try to stay active.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Where do you buy most of your model railroad supplies?
Most of it comes from Central Hobby and Borderino Scale Lines.
Okay, so that's two different hobby shops.
Yep, here in the Syracuse area.
In the Syracuse area, home of the Syracuse University.
Mm-hmm.
Home of the Orange. Yep. Home of the Orangemen.
Yep.
Do you have an orange T-shirt or anything?
I do.
Attaboy. Do you go to any of the games? Have you been to any of the games? What happened to the football team? It used to be a powerhouse.
They're rebuilding themselves.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I mean, we used to have season's tickets to the basketball.
Okay, that'd be cool. How big of an arena is the Syracuse University basketball? It's pretty big, isn't it?
They play inside the Carrier Dome, but they divide it off to about half. They'll hold 34,000 people.
Wow.
Typically for a basketball game, and there's some games they fill it.
And the Carrier Dome, is it a football field?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for football games, it'll hold around 55,000.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right, let's move along. Have you finished telling me about the university? Because I can't get you to stop talking about it.
I'm an alma mater, an alumni from there.
Okay, there you go. Do you buy anything online?
I have on occasion, but rarely.
All right, cool. So you're supporting your stores.
Yeah.
On your travels, how about this? On your travels, have you been to some other model railroad shops on your travels?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always try to seek them out, and when there's nothing to do at night, you go, and it's a good way to spend an hour or two talking to the owner and whoever might be in the shop, see what they've got.
Does any shop in particular stick out in your mind?
The old Caboose Hobbies in Denver.
Right. So
that was a wonderful place.
And how many times had you been there?
Oh, I'd only been there once. I've only been to Denver once on a trip. I made it a point to get there into the Colorado Railroad Museum.
Okay, cool.
Up in Golden.
Tom, you travel up and down the East Coast. What's your favorite hobby shop of all the places you go?
Well, I think of all the ones I've ever been to in my travels, probably my favorite one would be Mainline Hobby Supply down in Blue Ridge Summit.
Oh, yes, you're right. I forgot about that. I go there quite a bit when I'm at Chambersburg.
Okay, now when you say he's right, like he's right that it's his favorite, or he's right that it's your favorite?
Well, it's another good one.
Oh, okay. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, is it not?
It is. It's right out. It's right a little bit outside of Emmitsburg, Maryland. Right, in this little tiny town called Blue Ridge Summit. It's about a mile up the road from the Raven Rock military installation.
Okay, and it's been there for quite some time now, hasn't it? Has it not? Because I kind of remember when it started.
It's been around a while. It's been around at least as long as I've been in the hobby.
Right.
So 20 some years for sure.
So Blue Ridge Hobbies. So how close is it to the nearest town of, say, 100,000?
Oh, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In that regard, it's about maybe not quite an hour south of Gettysburg.
Right. And so, and you guys have seen hobby shops all over the United States. Well, certainly I visited a lot of hobby shops. Tom, yours is primarily east of the Mississippi, but you guys have been around. Hobby shops are going to survive, are they not, if they are destinations? Is that the key now in the new online shopping world?
Go ahead, Ed. This is your questionnaire.
Yeah, they're going to survive. I think that a lot of people shop online because of the price, but in the end, getting your hands on something and being able to look at it really has a benefit. And I really have a problem with people who buy locomotives, say, online and then go to their local hobby shop because it doesn't work or they can't figure it out. Come on. Yeah, you're going to pay $10-15 more for it, but you're going to get the support you need.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big proponent of supporting your local hobby shop. Like when I go to Springfield, I talk to Claire of Sylvan Models. He's got all his cars and trucks for sale.
Right.
And I say, Claire, I love your stuff, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy from you. I buy from Martin because he's my local guy. And Claire looked at me and says, thank you. He said, thank you.
So do you do that with anybody else? You walk up to them and say, I love your stuff, but I'm not buying it.
I have from time to time. Obviously, I don't come up cold and say it, but if we're having a conversation and talking and stuff, if it comes up, yeah, I'm honest about it.
So I have this vision of you. You're in a big city somewhere, or maybe not even a big city, maybe a medium-sized city, and there's a little old lady trying to get across the street, and you walk up to her, and she says, you say, are you trying to get across the street? And she goes, yes, young man, and you go, tough, and keep moving.
Never going to happen. I will always help.
I know. Hey, I was just being silly, for crying out loud. Have you ever heard the show?
Yes, I have. Lionel, I'm the guy who runs into a burning building when everybody else is running out.
Yeah, except you wouldn't tell us that, for crying out loud. You kept it as a secret, as if it was something that we shouldn't know. Yes, how many...
So I suppose you want me to tell you about the time I helped deliver a baby under a Christmas tree the couple days after Christmas, or the time I helped an elderly couple out of a second-floor window on a ladder rescue.
Wow, that'd be cool.
We pulled a guy out of a car who was slumped over in a parking lot and brought him back to life when he was flatlined on the monitor, or I can go on.
That would be all very rewarding, would it not?
It was a very rewarding time of my life.
I'll bet it was.
It was something to help the community that not a whole lot of other people were able to do.
Exactly. And what time? How long ago was it? What age area was it? This?
I was in my 20s.
There you go. Great man. Good thing. Good going. All right, let's keep moving here. Sorry, Tom, to cut you off.
Oh no problem.
Okay. All right, where did we stop? Oh, yeah, where did we buy most of your model railroad supplies? We decided, I want to know your answer to this too, Tom. So, a quick answer. We've only got 90 seconds left. So do you think hobby shops are like destinations, like the ones that survive will be destinations as well as shops?
I think some will. I don't know that they all will.
No, they won't all survive, right? Yeah.
No, but I'm saying even the ones that survive, I don't necessarily know that they're going to be destinations. I think if you have an okay hobby shop that happens to be in or near a major metropolitan area that's a catchment area for a lot of people, it's going to survive. But I don't know that you're going to have people necessarily flocking to that area just to go to the hobby shop.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so it's so you feel like hobby shops can survive in the old fashioned of they're just there, so therefore they will survive.
I think so.
Okay. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to come back to you in 10 years and see if you're right. But of course, by that time, I'll have been to your operated on your layout at least a half a dozen times.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I got to go back to Tom with Mainline Hobbies. I want to know how the heck did they get that rail line up on top of that summit? Right next to the hobby shop, there's a railroad line. It's like the hill you have to climb to get up there out of Waynesboro is unbelievable. How do they get the rail line up there?
Is it still active?
Yeah.
As far as,
CSX or Norfolk Southern?
I think it's a CSX line, isn't it?
It's CSX. It's pretty sure it's former Western Maryland.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty impressive.
All right. Go ahead.
I don't know how they I don't know how they got it up there, but it's high up.
Yeah, it is.
All right. This is a good question. This question was submitted by Chris Adams, and it's a bit wordy, but I think you'll get the drift. What's your most interesting railroad quest? In other words, what locomotive, what model, what book, what map, what thing was the hardest or the most interesting thing to find?
Oh, I think it's been accumulating the information on the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western here in central New York. There's a lot of information out there, but it's not easily found. I mean, it's talking to people, going to libraries. You ask a question to somebody, and they know somebody who knows somebody, and all of a sudden you get your answer.
Right.
So
okay. So just the research for the Delaware and Lackawanna Southern, is that what you said?
Western.
The Western. So it was south. It was west of the South. Okay, moving on. What is your favorite train event of the year, model or prototype?
Springfield.
And how long does it take you to get to Springfield?
If I were to drive straight to the show, it's 4 hours, but it takes us 4 days. It takes us 4 days.
Does it really? How come?
Because we start out on Thursday morning. There's a group of 4 or 5 of us. We start out on Thursday morning, and we spend 2 days, Thursday and Friday, touring layouts in the New England area. And we've seen some great layouts. And we've gone to Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York.
So it takes you 4 days to get there, and you start out on Thursday. The show would be over by the time you got there.
Well, Thursday, Friday, then we go to the show Saturday and Sunday.
All right.
It's a 4-day trek.
Okay. Next year when we talk to each other, we're going to be like, hey, we're going to be like old chums because we did this.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So how do you get into these layouts? You just make arrangements ahead of time, or you just show up and start banging on the door?
No. We'll start making arrangements. Actually, Mike starts making the arrangements. He's got the contacts.
Oh, okay.
He'll start soon, actually, talking to him.
Okay. And who are the 4 guys? Mike,
myself, Eric, and Eddie, and sometimes Martin.
Okay, Eddie's trouble, isn't he?
He's a car guy. Yeah. He and Eric are car guys.
Okay.
They sit in the back seat, and they just talk cars the whole trip.
Yeah, Eddie is trouble. I just know he is.
Yeah.
Bruce, did you leave or fall asleep?
No.
Okay. I just was waiting. You haven't said anything for a while.
I've been enjoying the conversation.
Okay. Do you prefer regular beer or light beer?
Regular.
Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. Got 2 of them.
You got 2 dogs?
Yep.
And their names are?
Daisy and Libby.
Daisy and Libby.
Yep.
And what kind of dogs are these?
One, Daisy is a lab mix. She's about 42 pounds, and Libby is an Old English bulldog, and she's about 45 pounds.
So poundage seems to be a significant...
Didn't want real big dogs.
So you went into the Humane Society and said, do you have a dog that's about 40 pounds?
It just kind of worked out that way.
How old are your dogs?
Daisy is 10 and Libby is 1.5 years.
Ah, so Libby's new to the family.
Yeah, she's a puppy.
No, okay.
She's actually my daughter's dog, so she'll be leaving us shortly.
Okay. What is your favorite? Oh no, do you prefer Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Attaboy. How are you on Diet Mountain Dew?
No, thank you. It's too sweet.
Lately, Diet Mountain Dew's been I've been holding court with Diet Mountain. But I was driving home from Florida there about sometime this past winter, and I was loading up on Diet Mountain Dew, and I was coming north. So I was somewhere about Pittsburgh. My lips started vibrating.
And they said, "Oh, look, it's got caffeine in it."
Yeah, exactly. What's your favorite hot dog condiment or condiments?
Oh, it's got to be Hyde's hot mustard.
Okay.
Hyde's. It's a hot dog house here in Syracuse, famous for their hot dogs. They serve only Hoffman hot dogs and Coney's. Been around since, 1907 or something.
Wow.
Same spot in Liverpool.
In Liverpool? That's a part of Syracuse?
Yep, just north of Syracuse.
Bruce, that should be our lunch stop next year on the way to Springfield.
Oh, sure. You better plan on a couple hours if you're going to lunch. If it's a nice day, the line will be out the door and around the corner.
Bruce? Even in January?
Uh-huh.
Holy cow. So can we just call you and get you to pick them up for us, and you can run down the I-90 and pass them off while we go through?
If you could get a hold of me.
Oh.
And why are you assuming we'll go through at lunchtime?
Because that's what Bruce said.
I never said that.
Yeah,
I thought you said that.
Nobody said that. You were very...
Rewind the tape. Play it back.
If you ever traveled with me, you'd be pretty sure that 4 hours in, it wouldn't be lunchtime. Lunchtime is
like
behind. Lunchtime.
It's like pushing tea time.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a couple of great restaurants here. We've got Hyde's for hot dogs. We've got Dinosaur Barbecue, the original Dinosaur Barbecue here in Syracuse.
Oh, where Fred Flintstone used to go?
Perhaps, I'm not sure. Used to be a biker bar or a biker garage.
Yes, I've been there. That's right. I have been there on my motorcycle, on my Harley. I have been there.
Parked out front with your Harley, did you?
Yeah, I did. Exactly. I've been there. Have you ever put ketchup on a hot dog?
Never.
Yeah, exactly.
Sacrilege.
Actually, after the age of 8, you can put it on your hot dog up to the age of 8. Then after that,
you can put it on your hot dog whenever you want.
Exactly.
Did you hear anything yet?
No. There's some static on the line.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever been bungee jumping?
No.
No. If you were a beer can, what size would you be?
Oh, what's that Magnum?
The big one.
Colt 45 Magnum?
Yeah. You'd be a giant beer can.
Yeah.
Bubba, the big Bubba.
The Bubba can. How many pairs of shoes do you have?
2.
2?
Yep.
You have 2 pairs of shoes?
Yep.
Wow.
2 pairs of shoes and 2 pairs of sneakers.
Well, those are shoes too.
No, they're not. They're sneakers.
You're kind of a troublemaker.
You're talking to an engineer, okay? Let's call it what it is.
No, seriously, you're kind of a troublemaker, aren't you?
Nah.
I'm surprised.
Really.
I'm surprised you get along in the NMRA. It's about fellowship.
It is.
So you have 2. So you have in my world, you got 4 pairs of shoes.
Okay.
I'll
accept that.
What's your favorite Bobby Goldsboro song?
I have no clue.
No, that's not it. You want to guess again?
No. I cannot name that tune.
It's Honey.
Honey. Okay.
Yeah, from 1968. 1968. No, not 1968. What year was it? It was in the 60s sometime. It was 1968. Originally, yep, Bobby Goldsboro. That was his one and only hit. Honey, you want to do a couple of bars for us, or?
No.
Okay.
No.
It was nominated for Song of the Year in the Grammys in 1968.
Wow. Popular song.
Exactly. If you were a superhero, what sort of powers would you have?
The ability to understand women.
Hot dog, we have a wiener.
Yeah.
Oh my!
That deserves an award.
It's done.
Yeah.
There's no point.
That's it. There's no point to it.
There's no point.
He's got the all-time high score right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's almost worded like a bar to the Superfan certificate, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like super. We got to get him some kind of an award for that.
Oh.
So who told you the secret of life and you have been telling it? You've been holding out on everybody.
Well, I've been holding out on everything else with you.
So what do you think your costume would look like?
Oh, be a James Bond tuxedo.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man.
This guy's got it all going on.
He's got top shelf twice in 25 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Should we go on or should we just stop?
Oh, we might as well go on, but
Yeah, but it's the deal is sealed here with
Yeah.
that.
Have you ever had a brush with the law?
No,
Not
only in helping them at the fire scene.
Okay, so are you boring?
Some might say I am. I'm an engineer. Come on. I'm a geek.
Have you never had a moving citation?
Nope. Talked myself out of one.
Well, there you go.
attaboy.
55 and a 30.
So an officer of the law pulled you over?
Yes, he did.
So that would be a brush with the law.
Well, that's true.
There you
I
go.
guess. Yeah, I have then.
Yeah, exactly. So you talked yourself out of it.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember you being in my class.
Oh, this was many years ago.
Have you ever been on TV?
Yes.
In what capacity?
During news reports, they would videotape me for when I was in the fire department.
Okay.
They would, interview me and take the video of the interview while we were at the fire scene.
So did it have anything to do with you lived near the firehouse and you were usually on the first truck out?
Yeah. Yeah, generally that was it.
And then by the time you got to the fire and you'd get into the fire and then your tank would run, your oxygen tank would start getting low,
Yep.
you'd come out. And by that time the press was there?
Yeah, man, you got this down, Lionel.
Yeah. I remember you on TV.
Yeah.
There was a Bruce, do you remember there's a sky scorcher in Cheektowaga?
There you go.
Exactly. I cut you off, Ed. Were you going to say something?
No. Oh, no.
All right.
No,
Who's your best friend?
it'd have to be Tina.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. That's kind of crossing, polarizing, crossing.
Them's fighting words if you answer it wrong.
Exactly. If she ever listens. Yeah, but you're done now, anyways. If I was you, I would. As she asked you if you were ever on the Kelly question, you'd say no. They were lost in the fire.
Okay.
What's your favorite zoo animal?
I like the monkeys. They're always entertaining to watch.
Yeah. And did you realize Neil Diamond wrote a lot of their hits?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did know that.
Did you know that, Tom?
I did.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of. Did you have a particular favorite monkey song, Tom?
I like Last Train to Clarksville.
Yeah, I like Pleasant Valley Sunday. Bruce?
Hey, we're the monkeys? I don't know.
All right. And I guess Ed, you just liked all their songs if you like the monkeys.
Yeah. I actually had quite a few of their albums.
I bet you did. Do you prefer baseball or hockey?
Hockey.
And So if you could only choose one professional sports team to root for, would it be the Detroit Tigers, the Philadelphia Flyers, or the Toronto Maple Leafs?
The Leafs.
Attaboy.
Attaboy.
Even though Toronto did beat the Crunch this year in the Calder Cup, I'll still go with the Leafs.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's because there was an NHL team against an AHL team.
Well, no, it's whatever the AHL Toronto team was.
Toronto Marlies.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Marlies. Yeah, they beat us up.
And yeah, they did. But the final is going to Game 7.
Yeah.
Is it still going?
Toronto lost tonight, so Game 7 on Thursday night.
Who are they playing?
They're playing the Stars out of somewhere in Texas.
Okay, and this is the final. This is the full final. Calder Cup.
This is it. Get the Calder Cup, Game 7.
Okay.
Winner takes all. All the marbles are on the line.
And if this is the year 2025, that was a long time ago.
That was a good song too.
Yeah, exactly. If you were stranded on a desert island with just one person, would you prefer it to be a secret agent 0013, Bruce the Angry Mailboy, or Lionel the Evil Overlord?
Oh man. Now see, this is one of those questions where no matter how I answer, I'm done. Put a fork in me and I'm done, right? Because there's just no right answer to this. I want to tick off two people. So, now, I guess I'd have to go with Tom.
Wow.
I spent some time trying to weasel all of
that
spy secrets out of them. And I do have a bit of a love for the Redding, so I think we could carry on some nice conversations.
So you took some time trying to get what out of him?
Some of his secret agent secrets out
of him. Okay, all right. Okay.
So you're going to torture him?
No. Torture never works. Don't you know that?
Oh, yeah. I'm just wondering. You're the two on the desert island. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's been torturing him for the last 52 minutes.
Look, it beats having a volleyball named Wilson.
That's taking a shot at Wilson. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. What's your favorite podcast?
It would have to be this one, Modeler's Life.
Not a boy. Okay, well, now we've come to the end, and we're going to have to tally up the scores. So, Tom, we'd like you to go. We've got to do some ciphering. So, Tom, could you go first?
Well, I'm not sure my math is correct, but I've got to give him mad props for the superpower. So I'm going to say 29.72.
Wow. That's pretty good. Bruce?
Well, he was kind of starting off slow when he didn't understand what's your favorite prototype railroad until we had to explain it to him. So he lost a bunch of points there. But the superpower, like I gave him 15.3 times 10 to the 24 on that. Like the rest was meaningless. Like it's it. It's like all-time high score, whatever it is.
Okay, so what did you give him?
15.3 times 10 to the 24.
That's a big number.
That's a big number.
What is that? I need a number. When I do this,
it'd be 15.3 followed by 24 zeros.
Wow.
A big number.
24 zeros.
Yeah.
So it's like 15 billion or something?
Oh, more than that. A billion's 10 to the 9.
A billion or something.
Something like that.
So that must be some sort of engineering term, is it?
Yeah, that knows what it means.
Yeah. Let's see. What's Avogadro's number? 6.23 times 10 to the 24th or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was disqualified. It will give... All right, well, I did my score, which is the one that matters the most, and but your other scores count too. So what he annoyed me right off the bat with your favorite prototype railroad. Like you say, you couldn't answer that. You can follow along.
And it wasn't exactly a tough question either.
No, exactly. What's your favorite?
Well,
prototype?
I wasn't sure if it was fallen flag or current day.
So, Tom, are you still with us? I know you are.
I'm here.
Yeah. Did you just hear me say, Ed? What's your opinion on that?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I think that out loud?
Yeah. So
I'm sure we can roll the tape on that and get the definitive answer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My apologies.
So we did pretty good on the NMRA membership. That was a good question for what would you give somebody.
Yes.
He flew along. He did very good on the hot dog condiments. But of course, you didn't know the Bobby Goldsboro's favorite hit song. But of course, we can't get away from the superpower question. And he did pick the Trenton Maple Leafs, but he put Tom as. So my score is I do some cipher and carry a 10, so I came up with 72.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's another great score. So so Ed, tonight you are so far ahead of the rest of the pack. We've never had that. I don't really know what to do now. You've kind of like you've kind of like busted the scale.
Yeah. It's like Nadia Comaneci in the Olympics hitting the perfect tens in gymnastics. Like, what do we do now?
And then he tried to cover it up with, "Who's your best friend?" Well, that would be my wife. Yeah, sure. Yeah, good luck with that. Explaining those two answers. You know what? We're gonna burn this tape. That's the only thing you're gonna say. All right, Bruce. This is a long. This is a standalone Kelly questions.
Wow.
I think this is a stand.
That's amazing.
It is. Bruce, can you Tom? Do you have anything to say? Is this your first time on the Kelly questions?
It was other than my own. Yeah, this is the first time sitting in.
And how do you feel it went?
I thought it went great.
Okay, kind of it'd be interesting when you're on again to see if it's a really long one. See if you're the conduit.
If I'm the cause.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's not saying, it's just scientific experiment.
Exactly. We'll just check that out. All right, Bruce, can you give out our email address?
Our email address, Modeler's Life, Modelers 1L, modelerslife@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. You should have been a radio guy. And we have a website, modelerslife.com. And do you ever get people, Tom, you have your own page over there where people can find your Reading lines. Do you get people coming to you from there?
I get people joining my Facebook page off and on all the time. And I don't know whether they come in through the pod. Some of them are from the podcast because it's names that I recognize from, the viewer posts and things like that. Others just, I don't know if they come in from other groups that I post to or what. But as of right now, I have 260 members.
Excellent.
Holy man,
Nice.
That's a great idea you had, dude, starting that Facebook page.
Yeah, I'm glad I thought of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, man.
And did you get more once you put a track plan up?
They all pop in from time to time, and I sign them up, and they post, and I post, and we have a grand old time.
It's and you also have a readingmodeler.com.
I do.
And you sell decals? I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
Yep, I have my decals and some other stuff, and I haven't done a lot there lately. I've just been so busy. There's a bunch of pictures I want to scan and things like that to add to the site. I've just been so busy with so many things. It's just it's a good problem to have. But
that's the new world. You know what? I'm going to rename this podcast. You know what I'm going to call it? Anybody want to take a guess?
Lionel's podcast.
No, I'm sorry I cut you off there.
Okay. What about that?
Sorry
I cut you off
there. Yeah. And today, so we have our website, amodelerslife.com. And if you go there, you'll find links to our Facebook page and Patreon, but you're probably already listening to this on Patreon. And today was the day that we posted up our introductory video on the Patreon page. It's a little 6-minute video that explains to you kind of what's happening as far as Patreon goes and the modeler's life. A modeler's life. Not the modeler's life. A modeler's life. And I think that have we covered everything, guys?
I think so.
Yeah. Ed, you can take off you can keep the silver foil hat, but you probably want to take it off before you go out.
Okay. Well, it does tend to provide a little bit of protection from the radar, the RF energy coming from the radar. So I might keep it on. I don't know.
All right. So I think that's it. So Tom, get the hell out of here. Tom.
Okay.
Ed, not you. That's the problem with everybody should have a more difficult name. Tom and Ed. You know what it is? We've been doing this now for we started at 9 this morning and it's now 8 at night. We've had to do so many takes.
Yeah.
We've been at this almost 12 hours.
Good talent is hard to find.
Yeah, exactly. Ed?
Yes, sir.
Get the hell out of here.
Okay. I will do that.
Yeah, you're still here.
I know. It's hard to get rid of me sometimes. Lionel, thank you. Bruce, Tom, it's been a pleasure. Have a good evening, guys.
You too.
You just can't stop talking, can you?
No, I can't. 5 o'clock in the morning comes way too early, so good night. I'm out.
So there you have it. Tom Barbalet, Peter Borcherds at his workbench. It was quite a trip we took there. We paddled all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. Had a nice little stop off in Iceland. And then we headed over to see Peter and his lovely wife, Lucy. The lovely Lucy. And then we had talked to Ed Olszewski, who, of course, broke the scoring system. He just completely scattered the scoring system with his answer of if he could have a superpower. What superpower would he have? The ability to understand women. That may be the greatest answer. I don't even know if you could have that superpower. I wonder if you could actually if that superpower is even obtainable. I wonder who you talk to. I wonder if there's like a department of superpowers in the government where you go to them and you apply for a particular superpower. And you go, you have to fill out forms and everything, and you stand at the counter and you show the lady, this is the superpower I'd like, and then they let you know if there's too many invisible men or anything like that. So I wonder how you can get that superpower. Anyways, Ed, thanks a lot for breaking the scoring system. That was a big help. And Peter Borcherds, like I said, and Tom Barbalet. It's a great show. I enjoyed it. Lots of fun. Kill a couple hours while you're driving along. Tom Jacobs. While you're driving along listening to this, it was your first opportunity to co-host the Kelly Questions. I thought you did a great job. You guys driving around. Everybody's driving around. Oh, Eric Vandiver, who is a commander in the Navy, and he listens to these shows while he's driving up and down the East Coast between Boston and Virginia. Eric, I want to know exactly what it is you do. His wife works for the CIA, the FBI, or the CIA. Either one of those. I'm sure she has my name on file. And of course, we'll tell you all about our email address. We have an email address, and we love to get, Bruce, the moderately agitated mail boy, loves to get mail. He loves to get email. He sorts them. He carefully, he receives them, and then he sorts them into the appropriate pigeonhole boxes down there in his mail room in the basement of the Stuart L. Sterling Building in downtown Busted Knuckle, Kentucky, not far from one of the newest restaurants, because I love sushi. So our email address is modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with one L like railroad, not two L's like Lionel. And of course, we have a website. Of course, we have a website, and it's amodeler'slife.com. And if you're new to if this is one of your first times listening to the podcast, yes, this is about as good as it gets. And you go to our website, amodeler'slife.com, and you'll see all sorts of stuff about us. You'll see a crew page. You'll see a listing of all recent shows. You'll see all kinds of neat links to how to get the show. And you'll see a link to our Patreon page. When I was having the show reviewed by, I forget the guys' names, fun guys, they insisted that I needed to tell people more about Patreon because, Rob Arsenault, if you go to Patreon and spend $5 a month, you'll get to listen to more shows. I'm not sure if Rob belongs or not. Rob Arsenault, weathermytrains.com. Jim Scores, NCE. Originally North Coast Engineering, but it's just NCE. Shane Wilson, scaletrains.com. George Bogatuk, George the goalie at Soundtracks. There's all kinds of people out there. There's all sorts of... Ron Kleiss with his new business, Mind Mount Models. There you go. We should, I think maybe we'll start advertising and we'll charge $5,000 an episode. See if anybody bites. I don't think so. So that should be able to keep us ad-free. Okay, that's it. So it's time to, on the way home, you know what? Why don't this time, rather than stopping at KFC, why not stop at, let's see, Pizza Hut, Domino's. You know what? Pizza Hut. Why don't you stop at Pizza Hut? Get the family one of those big square pizzas. Pepperoni, mushrooms, sausage. No pineapple. Do not put pineapple on your pizza. Putting pineapple on your pizza is similar to, you know what? I was at Chris Adams' house, and he kept threatening to put pineapple on the pizza that we were having. He kept threatening me, and I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, okay, I'll play along, but I'm not eating any of it. I refuse to eat any. I refuse to eat pizza with pineapple on it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand the whole principle behind it. Okay, so that's it. So you're going to stop off at Pizza Hut, get one of those big square pizzas, get home, give the peck on the cheek to the little lady, say hi to the kids, help them with their homework, help little Bobby with his math problems, and we're all set to go. So remember, a modeler's life is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10 mail carriers.
It's another Lincoln Homer.